The whisper started just 3 days after Daniel moved into his grandmother's old house. He'd inherited the place after she passed away, a sprawling farmhouse on the edge of town that had been in his family for 5 generations. He'd spent countless childhood summers there, running through the fields, hiding in the barn, but he'd never, ever been allowed in the attic. Nothing up there but dust and old junk, his grandmother used to say, her face always pinched tight whenever he asked. Families posed stiffly in Victorian clothing, children with solemn, serious faces, young men in military uniforms, women in beautiful wedding dresses. The collection seemed to span over a century. Daniel moved closer, studying the faces one by one. None of them looked familiar. These weren't his family photos. So who were these people? Then, he saw the writing. Beneath each photograph, in his grandmother's careful, neat handwriting, were names and dates. Margaret 1892 a 1918 Robert Kowalski, 1901 to 1944. Sarah Martinez, 1856 to 1899. Under some of the photos, she'd written more. Died in childbirth, killed in the war, tuberculosis. His skin prickled with goosebumps. These were all people who had died. But why did his grandmother have their photographs? Why were they all here, on this wall? We wondered when you'd come up here. Daniel spun around, his heart leaping into his throat. I don't understand, Daniel said, speaking to the empty room. What do you want? Your grandmother understood, said the first voice, the older man. She listened to us. She remembered us. Daniel's eyes moved back to the wall of photographs, and then, in a sudden, chilling moment of clarity, he understood. These weren't random pictures. They were the forgotten ones. People who had died with no family left to remember them. No one to visit their graves. no one to even say their names. His grandmother had collected them. She had given them a place. She found us at estate sales, another voice said, a little clearer now. In boxers, at the dump. Thrown away like trash. We were disappearing, a child's voice added, small and sad. Being forgotten completely. Daniel felt his legs go weak, and he sank down onto an old trunk, completely overwhelmed. When the sun finally rose and light filtered through the small attic window, the voices faded back into soft whispers. But they sounded different now. They sounded peaceful, content. Over the following weeks, Daniel developed a new routine. Every night, after dark, he would climb the ladder into the attic and listen. He started researching the people in the photographs, using the details they gave him to find their graves, to learn their full stories. He even created a website, a digital archive, to document each person and preserve their memories for the world to see. Of course, his friends thought he was strange, spending every single evening in a dusty attic, seemingly talking to empty air. But Daniel didn't care. He knew he'd inherited more than just a house from his grandmother. He'd inherited a sacred responsibility. And a firm determination to make sure these people, these friends, are never forgotten again. Thank you, he says softly, before climbing down the ladder each night. Thank you for trusting me with your stories. And the whispers always answer back. A chorus of voices from across the decades, no longer lost, no longer alone.